Hey there, YouTube. This is third video of the day. I've been out and done some things, and it's pretty late, 10:42 p.m., which is kind of getting to be sort of late for a guy like me. By the way, I don't know if you guys how well all of you guys keep up with me, but my AC is off, so I might have to do this occasionally. I hit 40 last month, so I'm officially middle-aged, as they say. My hairline is starting to prove that, I guess. Anyway, so this video, and there I realized that there are people who have done videos like this. But this is going to be my take on it. Alright? If I say anything racial in this video, I'm sorry. But I as much as I think we should stop concentrating on race so much, the problem exists. So, if I say something racial, it's usually something that I've observed, not necessarily how I feel about it. Okay. Anyway, this video is kind of going to be about how job interviews are just, well, a sham. I mean, they're really we're in a very different world now. The kind of world where you print out a resume and, see a help wanted sign and go in there and hand them your resume and walk out with the job are over, pretty much. That type of world just doesn't per se really exist anymore. Somewhere maybe, but not in Greater Dallas Fort Worth or in the RGV even anymore. There might still be a few call centers you can walk into there and walk out with a job after putting in a day of work. And older generations of people, people in their 50s and 60s, don't necessarily grasp how all this works. A lot of people that age will tell you, go in the place, apply in person, yada yada yada. And I did just get that furniture job that way, but that's a very on-call sort of job that I was lucky to get that, or get wind of that and go do it. But for the most part, you're going to go in there and say, hey, can I get an application? They're going to say, go apply online, right? So now these companies, rather than, getting, maybe 20 or 30 walk-ins that apply, right, are getting 500 applications per position. And they might only look at the top 10%. That might be 50, say 30 to 50 people, right? The rest of the people aren't even processed, okay? And I had a couple interviews with, I have to decide how much I'm wanting to maybe apply with these people again. Well, I'll say it this way, with a certain employee-owned grocery chain. It rhymes with bimbo. Okay, I had two interviews. One with the one in Arlington, and one with one in North Richland Hills. Both of these places are near enough to me that I can get to them within 20 minutes. a 20-minute drive here, especially without traffic, equals more in traffic. So you've got to gauge like where you can get to in a reasonable amount of time. And the interview with the one in Arlington seemed to go very well. I had a really good feeling about it. They sent me an email 2 days later, like Tuesday. I had the interview on like a Thursday. They sent me an email Tuesday saying my application was no longer under consideration. And this is after 4 years of very recent experience with a competitive retailer. So not only was I well skilled in exactly what they wanted me to do, and I'd been doing it for 4 years, I was with the competition. And I sat there. The interview lasted about half an hour. I talked to I asked questions, I answered questions, Of course, in a job interview, literally, if you ask one wrong question, that's it. That's it. And sometimes you do things that you don't realize you're doing as well. I'll try and get back to that in a moment. So yeah, they sent me an email that the next Tuesday saying, yeah, your application's no longer under consideration. Sorry. Then they reposted the app on the job boards, or the position on the job boards. So that tells me one of two things. Three perhaps. That A, nobody they interviewed was suitable. B, they're trying to replace more than one person, and they're interviewing one at a time for each position they're trying to replace, rather than, taking a couple of the candidates that come in. Or they aren't really hiring at all, which I know a lot of you are saying, that why would they do that? Well, they get a lot of ideas from people that interview with them, because a lot of us have, as I say, worked for the competition. That's usually why retail people are trying to get with another retailer, right? They have competition, they have experience in it, and potentially information, right? So they want to know things like, why did you leave? Like, why didn't it work? Like, what? Yada yada yada. They want information, right? So I wasn't really sure. And then I had the interview with the one in North Richland Hills. And literally this guy, let's call him Ryan, the minute I shook Ryan's hand, I just knew he wasn't going to hire me. It's hard to explain. I just knew he wasn't going to hire me. Guys, I'm sorry. I'm gonna have to turn the air conditioner on. I'm sweating. It's too hot. So I'm sorry about that. You're gonna have to deal with a little noise here. I'll attempt to edit. I got the plug-in for Audacity, so hopefully we'll be all right. I have all these lights on, and they also create a lot of heat. So the minute I shook Ryan's hand, there was just something about this guy. For one thing, they make these people do interviews after they've worked an entire night shift, which is just like, I wouldn't do that to somebody. I wouldn't do that to the person having to do the interviews, and I certainly wouldn't do that to the interviewees, because he could just have his panties in a twist from the way something went overnight, or how his shift, how he feels about something, or what have you. he takes me back into the interview room, which is essentially his office. The first guy, I wouldn't necessarily say it was just his office. It was like where a lot of the managers hang out. But this guy had his own office. I always worry about people that have their own offices, because you have to be a real bastard to get your own office, right? So he takes me in there and he proceeds to ask me verbatim the same questions in the same order that the interviewer with the first bimbo did. And you know, he kept asking me if I had questions, and I told him, like, you know, I've communicated with Winco and asked a lot of questions, so, you know, I don't really, I know this, 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 I know yada 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 yada, right? And I don't know, he just seemed really frustrated and annoyed with me, okay? Not only that, but the customer service girl interrupted my interview 3 times. She came back there like, can we cash a check that's, you know, over $1,000? And, you know, she just kept coming back there and asking this guy stuff, and he got a little bit annoyed with her, but not to the point where if you were really interested in the candidate that you were interviewing, you know, I almost wanted to ask to have my interview rescheduled, but like I said, I just got like a really terrible vibe from this guy the second I laid eyes on him, right? And the other thing is, as you go through more interviews, like if you keep getting told no, you almost get worse at it. It's like, how, you know, what have I done? You know, I look really nice when I go in on my interviews. I wear a shirt, a tie. I have a set of interview clothes I always wear. You know, you guys notice I've cut all my hair off. I shave down to, you know, bare face when I go in. I literally want nothing here getting in my way. I could certainly be too old, but both these guys told me that they don't really like to hire young employees, so okay. At the same time, the second guy, Ryan, he seemed to he kind of seemed to be implying that he thought I couldn't physically handle it, and it's like, dude, I did exactly this with your competitor, you know, 60-pound boxes of rice, you know, water. I used to throw water all day. You know, at some point, it's like, what do you do? The other thing I think happens a lot these days as well is these people already know who they're going to hire, and the interviews are, you know, they're going to hire the boss's nephew or one of their cousins or something like that, you know. They just have to do the interviews for, you know, corporate sake, right? It's not, you know, it's not it's not a real thing. It's like a lot of the times you're kind of sitting at a fake interview, and the way they see it is why are they going to take somebody who's actually, there's going to be a small part B video on this. I'll be right back.